Hello everyone. September 10th is being observed as the World Suicide Prevention Day. A few days ago in Tamil Nadu, in a district called Krishnagiri, an army jawan who got recently married committed suicide. Similarly, a few days ago in the district of Kanyakumari, in a place called Iraniel, a 19-year-old young girl committed suicide. Almost a month ago, during some friction in the marriage talks between families and between the bride and bridegroom, a young girl committed suicide in Chennai in an area called Veperi. Friends, suicide is something that is committed only by human beings. Scientific research could not authoritatively conclude that animals also commit suicide. How to know whether a person has been undergoing intensified suicidal tendencies? If you could confirm that the person indeed has been having suicidal tendencies, what should you do? Let's get into the post. When a person commits suicide, a person would have awareness as to what would be the consequences of his or her death. The person may have insufficient or incorrect awareness that his death or her death would have some definitive consequences. Driven by these assumed consequences, a person may end his or her life. So, in most of the suicides, if there had been a chance that the person can have objective opinion, objective view of the consequences of not being there alive in this world, probably the individual would have taken more time before committing the unacceptable act of suicide. How do we find out that a person indeed is entertaining suicidal tendencies? Point number one, there would be signs of withdrawal from the peer groups, from friends, and also from those activities that once were well enjoyed by this individual. It could be hanging out with friends, buddies, relatives, and being boisterous and being energetic whenever there will be any gathering. And if the individual suddenly withdraws, there is no josh, there is no joyous feelings. We need to focus more as to why the person is suddenly withdrawing. Let's say there is a precursor. The person has lost a loved one. It could be a family member or it could be somebody that the individual really wanted to get married to. If there is a death very recently and then the person is all of a sudden withdrawing, then it can be associated with some intensified suicidal tendencies. Point number two, a person all of a sudden becomes too generous in an unbelievable manner, and he or she is readily giving away something that he or she would be usually very possessive of. The person would be quite, protecting certain objects, certain property, and he or she will be readily giving it away to others so that they would start using it. And this unexpected tendency of sharing the most treasured, the most highly held possession can indicate that the person might think that anyway he or she would not be there in this world, and why not that object be used, that product be used by others. So this can be a warning sign as well. Next indication could be this: the person ends up asking or thinking about ways of ending one's life. It could be the search of detrimental drugs or heavy dosage drugs and trying to know how the particular drugs, when taken in huge quantities, can affect the vital parts. If the person is searching about these, or if the person is thinking or even discussing about different creative ways of killing oneself without hurting himself or herself too much, this could be a definitive indication that the person indeed is entertaining suicidal tendencies. Next, if there is a job loss situation, then the person may actually feel worthless, may actually feel as though he or she has become a burden. Then there is a likelihood that the person really is thinking about ending one's life. The next scenario, if there is an outsider, if there is a third person, because of the spouse activity in the intimate relationship, one might want to end life as well. So we need to be probing more as to how this infidelity has been affecting this individual from his or her spouse. Now that we know different scenarios which might trigger suicidal tendencies, if at all we could almost confirm that an individual is undergoing suicidal tendencies, what should we do? Let's now ponder over it for a few minutes. If we know that an individual is having intensified suicidal tendencies, we should listen to that individual not with an intention of advising, rather with an intention of listening empathetically. We got to let the person completely pour out his heart or her heart, express himself or herself completely. We should not be biased and we should not be judgmental as well. When we talk to that individual, talk in an inclusive manner, trying to pacify that individual that the person has indeed truly been quite affected by that particular problem without endorsing any feeling of self harm. Then, when we know that a person is suicidal, we should never let that individual stay alone, both during daytime and nighttime. If it is a family member, one of us can stay along with that individual depending on the situation. If it happens in a workplace environment, we could always accompany, and we should never let that individual to take frequent breaks on his own or on her own. So we can try to accompany wherever he or she goes. Last but the most important thing, we should seek professional help. Knowing that the person is suicidal, we should immediately inform the loved ones. We should immediately take the person to have any counseling visitation, or if the person is ailing from any illness, immediately the person should be hospitalized so that there is no room, there is no opportunity given to the individual for even trying to explore suicidal activities. So friends, in this post we have understood why a person ends up committing suicide with limited awareness by believing that the awareness has given him the consequences of his or her own death. Then we discussed briefly about identifying the suicidal tendencies with individuals. In the last part, we understood the ways of dealing with people who are suicidal and how to adeptly provide the immediate help to such people. Thank you.